Welcome to the Vol Bros, presented by the Ooltewah Club. My name is Evan. This is my brother Rustin. We are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And we are so thankful you're joining us this evening. Welcome back. We've been off for a week. We took the Sunday night off for the Super Bowl. Turns out probably could have gone live. That wasn't much of a game anyway. So we're thankful you're here with us this evening. My goodness, what a lot to talk about. The Lady Vols literally just got done playing. If you didn't happen to see that game, the Lady Vols just beat Auburn by a whole lot. It was a lot to a little. They scored 99 points. Auburn, I think, had 67. Was that it?
61.
61. There you go. So huge win, just a huge win for the Lady Vols. Almost crossed the century mark. Forced at least two more 10-second violations. Rustin, what were your takeaways from that game this evening?
Pretty dominant from start to finish. Auburn's terrible. I they're hard to watch. It was they did a good. It was hard to tell if it was our defense was just so much better, or their ability to handle the ball was just so bad. They Auburn was
They
what,
did not
12 and
handle the
12.
press well.
Yeah, Auburn, I think, was 12 and 12 coming into that game, and I was sitting there watching it going, how did this team win 12 games? They were just – they will make a very early exit in the SEC tournament. That team is not good.
Yeah, there's a play in the second half there where they were, trying to break the press, and the girl threw the ball literally to their head coach on the sideline. No player was anywhere near, other than the players sitting on the bench, but no player currently in the game at that moment was near the pass. I was like, whoa. But I mean, kudos to the Lady Vols for just dominating. Like, you tweeted it, every fashion of the game, they dominated. So that was fun to see. That was fun to see. The men played this week as well at Rupp Arena. Didn't go so well. It's a funny thing, basketball. Turns out when you make shots, you win. When you don't, you lose. That's pretty much as simple as it gets. And the men's team continues to prove that over and over, which quite honestly has to concern you when you think about March, because, right now you say, well, there's another day. It's just, we were off tonight. There's another day. If you're off one time in March, it's over. So, Rustin, what did you take away from the men's game against Kentucky?
It could have been even worse. Jackson Robinson didn't play. You could argue he's their best player. You can't lose by 27 at the 3-point line, and that's what happened. They scored 36. We scored 9. There are just basketball's a weird sport. There are some games where you are just not a good matchup for another team, and the things that Kentucky does offensively and the personnel they have in those sets, for whatever reason, we just do not match up well. And they find ways to continually get wide open shots in ways that no one else can seem to do against Tennessee. Mark Pope has figured out how to hurt Tennessee's defense, and he just keeps running stuff that we can't seem to guard. And kudos to Kentucky. When they get wide open looks, they hit them. Like I said, that game could have been a whole lot worse. They're arguably their best player, their best shooter, didn't step foot on the court. So it was – Rupp's always a hard place to win anyway. It's an even harder place when the other team is just running their stuff and you can't seem to figure it out.
Yep. Same story we said all along. You can't go 3 for 47, it seemed like. from the three and expect to win. You just can't do that. Like you said, they got outscored by 27 points from the 3-point line. You can't do that and expect to win. So you got to
There
make
was
sure.
a couple other stats from that game that were kind of wild. Second chance points, Tennessee 15, Kentucky 3. Kentucky had 3 second chance points, and we lost by double figures.
It shows that they didn't need many second chance points. They were making the first chance.
Right. Well, it shows they were very efficient. We outscored them in the paint. There's a lot of things like that. They're just kind of weird statistical anomalies. I mean, we outscored them in the paint. We out-rebounded them. But for whatever reason, we just cannot seem to figure out how to stop what they do offensively. I mean, they shot 50% from the field. They shot 50% from three, 79% from the free throw line. They didn't have many empty possessions. We were watching the game with about 7 or 8 minutes left was when it was a 3-point game. And I told one of my sons, so if we can get 2 stops and 2 scores, we can win this game. And on the ensuing 2 possessions, we had 2 scores and we had a stop, and we were actually tied. And Kentucky brought the ball up, and I can't remember who fouled, but we had a really dumb foul. Played great defense, forced a bad shot, and we had a really dumb foul and didn't get the second stop. Guy went to the free throw line, made both free throws, and Kentucky never trailed after that. It's amazing how basketball can be such a game of runs. And the last 5 minutes of that game, we did not play well.
Yep. Let's look at people are chiming in the comments here. Jonathan, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, "Hello, Vol Bros. Wanted the ladies to score 100 tonight, but I'll take a dominant win like that for sure, buddy, for sure." Matt, good evening, buddy. Great to have you. He said, "Good evening, Evan and Rustin. 99 points." Josh said, "Welcome, Josh. Good to have you." He said, "I don't think Kentucky could play better in 2 games, and we couldn't play any worse. It is what it is." And Matt said what Josh said. Rhonda, welcome. Great to have you. She said, "Happy Friday Eve." I like that. That's good. Jonathan said the Kentucky game was a mixture of us having a bad shooting game and Kentucky having a great shooting game. It happens. I hate it. It happened against Kentucky twice. Yep, that's fair. Got to make shots to win. Got to make shots to win.
Yeah, but their shots were a lot more open than our shots were. And this is 2 games in a row. This is 2 games in a row where they've run offense that we can't seem to figure out or stop. And I don't know what it is that they do that's so different than everyone else.
Josh said, "Do you think defenses moving forward will take Kentucky's approach? Just pack guys in the paint and dare us to shoot threes?" I would. I mean, that's what I do. Because until Tennessee can prove they can hit it consistently, that's the biggest weakness in their offense. So that's what I do. Sam said the refs were allowing heavy hand checking and Kentucky was trapping Zakai hard. Welcome, Sam. Glad you're with us. Jared, welcome. Glad you're with us too. He said, "Did you know the SEC coming in?" Oh, gosh. So Jared is referencing a now infamous quote from Carl Ravitch. This was a hot topic on the Twitter and the X and the Facebooks. It's been a hot topic lately. So yes, Carl Ravitch did mention in a live on air, he was surprised that the SEC was 82 and 82 in league play. Not thinking about the fact that if there's 82 games in league play, you're going to have 82 winners and 82 losers in those games. I think he has since regretted making that statement because he just didn't think it through. Mr. Osborne, welcome. Great to have you. He said, "Good evening, Vol Bros. I don't know much about basketball compared to football or baseball, but I think the Lady Vols will make a deeper run in the NCAA than the men will. Sweet 16 for the men." And so Mr. Osborne's calling a shot. He says Lady Vols go deeper than the Sweet 16. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, it's hard to argue with that. That's the thing about the men. The men, they could win the whole thing, or they could lose in the second round. I mean, like you don't know what you're going to get offensively from night to night. So they're Vegas's worst nightmare, really. Josh said, "I don't want to overreact. Kentucky has had guys do things against us they haven't done all year. Fully expect them to lose at Texas. Maybe."
But those guys that did things against us, he mentions Almanor, Noah, and Perry. What they did against us was hit wide open threes.
Yeah.
I mean, Almanor hit 2 threes from the corner, and there was nobody within 15 feet of him. Noah and Perry were just using staggered screens and flare screens to get open and knocking down wide open shots.
Mr. Osborne said the men just don't shoot the ball well enough to go deep into this tournament. That's totally fair. Yeah. Bobby, welcome, buddy. Great to have you. He asked a good question. He said, "Can we talk about why Barnes took our 2 leading scorers out for several minutes?" I don't know. Well, it wasn't foul trouble because nobody even got to 4 fouls. So I don't know.
I mean, I thought there
Great
were a
question.
few times when he stole Zakai some minutes. These guys can't play 35 to 40 minutes every night. Like they've got to sit every once in a while. We need them to be fresh in March, not dying. So, I didn't notice anything odd. I thought he tried to steal minutes and steal possessions around TV timeouts to, expand their ability to sit and rest. I didn't notice anything weird.
Josh said, "I will say this. I don't want Chaz to be our guy, the closer in
Yep.
games. He's shown he's not that guy. I want to see Barnes look for Igor or Gainey to close games and draw up plays for them."
Yep.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with that. Just as you look back over the course of this season, I think that what you said is exactly right. Matt said, "I am bamboozled as to how open the threes were for Kentucky against us both games." Yeah.
So apparently, we're
Totally
Tennessee coaching staff.
Jonathan said, "I can't figure Dubar out. Some games he looks like a really good player, and then the next game he looks like he hadn't seen a basketball."
He was awful against Kentucky.
The Illinois game and the Texas games were by far and away his 2 best games of the season. Those 2 games were, unfortunately, both of them were away from home. I'm sure the fans in Thompson Bowling would like to see him play well there.
But he didn't play well against Oklahoma. He had a couple of shots, scored 5 points, but they limited his minutes and gave his minutes to Cade because every possession you didn't know what you were going to get. And then against Kentucky, he was just awful. I mean, I was sitting there watching it going, "Who's this guy?"
Sam said he expects Vanderbilt to get aggressive with Zakai. That is Tennessee's next game. The Tennessee hosts Vanderbilt this Saturday at 1:00 p.m. So that'll be just right around the corner. They host Vanderbilt, and then the game after that would be they have a week off, and the following Saturday they go to Texas A&M, and that is going to be a very, very difficult game. So the men have a revenge game coming up against Vanderbilt this Saturday. Then they have a week off when they travel to Texas A&M. Sanders, welcome. Great to have you. She said, "Honestly, guys, I'm kind of tired of seeing the same offense from Barnes. He needs to switch it sometimes." Yeah, and I think everybody would feel differently if they saw shots going through the nets, and unfortunately, we just don't see that. So, Rhonda said, "Welcome, Rhonda." I already welcomed Rhonda. Well, welcome again, Rhonda. She said, "What do y'all think about connect back and forth to the Lakers?" Yeah, that was bizarre. So apparently, what happened? The trade went down. Everybody was going where they're intended to go, and then there was a medical issue
Mark
with
Williams
Mark
failed his
Williams.
physical.
Yeah, and so I was doing my best Tennessee athletic department communications there. I was going to just say medical issue. Um, he had a lower body injury.
He fell on a helmet.
He fell. There you go. That's it. So as soon as that happened, the trade was off. It was done. It was done. And so Dalton had to come back to LA. Um, so is life in the NBA. All of a sudden, you're not in control anymore. The owners are.
But weirdly, now the Hornets are trying to prove that he should have passed the physical and caused the trade to go through.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Herb said, "Welcome, Herb. Great to have you." He said, "Agree. You don't know which men's team will show up. I told everyone they're Jekyll and Hyde. Don't know which one will show up that night." Yeah, that's exactly right. Some nights they can't miss. Some nights they can't make. So let's just hope that they every night during the tournament they are the ones that can't miss. Carl,
The
welcome,
one
buddy.
the
Thank
one
you
thing
so
they
much.
will
Carl
have
just gave a
going
super
for them.
chat. Appreciate you, Carl. Thank you. He said baseball been very good to me. Thank you, Carl, very, very much, man.
The one thing they will have going for them in the postseason is everybody's on a neutral site. It's hard to win on the road in the SEC. It's hard to win in Rupp Arena, but it's very different when you're facing a team who's in a gym for the first time, just like you are, and that's when defense travels. When you're in a gym that maybe has some weird shooting angles, has some weird backdrops, that's when defense wins games. So they are actually built for March, because they have decent guard play. They do have somewhat of an interior presence, and they play top three defense in America. So it'll be interesting to see how it translates to March.
Mississippi Vol, welcome. Great to have you. He said, "Good evening, guys. Long time no see." Yep, it's been a week. It's been too long. He said, "A rough week for our guys, unfortunately, but it was great seeing those pink-clad Lady Vols look like that again. Go Big Orange." Absolutely, totally agree. Josh said, "Barnes has to realize in games you need offense to win. Kentucky, Missouri, and Alabama. You can't play Meshack that much. You need scores on the court because those teams are going to score 70 plus." Sanders said Gainey looked terrible against Kentucky as well.
Hold on, can we go back to that comment? My only question would be, what scores?
Yeah, that's fair. You would hope it'd be Chaz, but it's not.
I mean, Chaz right now isn't striking fear in the hearts of anyone.
Yep. Yep. Eric, welcome, buddy. Great to have you. You said, "What's up, Vol Bros? I think the baseballs repeat this season." Man, I hope so. That would be awesome. I think they'll definitely get to Omaha. Once you're in Omaha, anything can happen. So I hope they do. Jonathan
It's
said,
going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating to see several things about this team. And are we going to talk about baseball later?
All
right, I'll hold my thoughts till then.
Yeah, that's our next topic, actually. Jonathan said, "I want the men to win it all, but they are essentially playing with 7 players because Boswell and Dubar aren't going to get more than 5 minutes a game. So I don't think they have the legs to go far in March." That's fair. That's totally fair point.
Yep.
Josh said, "Tennessee doesn't want to see a 5-out team like Kentucky in the tournament that are all just freewheeling shooters." Agreed. Auburn would be another team that would fit that mold. Tennessee just happened to play Auburn on a poor shooting night.
But you have to wonder, was it a poor shooting night or was it something we were doing defensively that caused that? And if it was something we were doing defensively, what has Kentucky figured out that no one else can seem to figure out? Because that, like I say, that they weren't just hitting shots; they were wide open repeatedly.
Sam said Barnes is a great coach. Tennessee, he sure is, Hall of Famer. Tennessee's lucky to have him. Totally agree. He said fans need to realize that we're Kentucky's biggest rival, so maybe they're a little bit more up for that game. That's fair. Josh said when you said that what scores, Josh said very true. Well, I understand, man. He said he's grasping for straws.
My greatest fear when Kentucky fired John Calipari was that they would go find somebody who really understood offense. And, Kentucky's always going to have great players because they've just got an insane budget. They're always going to have really good players.
It's Kentucky.
If they found a coach who was an offensive minded guy who really understood how to call X's and O's, that was my biggest fear. And I think they went and found him. And I hate to say this. I think one of two things has to happen. Either Rick Barnes is going to have to reinvent how they play and alter what they do so that Kentucky sees something different, or if Rick Barnes ends up retiring, Danny White better have in the forefront of his mind, we got to find somebody who can counter Mark Pope. Because Mark Pope, I mean, he's doing what he's doing right now with a roster that he pretty much went out and salvaged out of the portal. When he gets a whole roster of his guys in there running his stuff the way he wants it run, they're going to be tough.
Absolutely. I mean, they've already beaten Tennessee twice this year. They beat Duke earlier in the season. They're playing very well. Sanders said, I'll be shocked if we make it out of the second round. I won't be, it all depends on the draw. I mean, I won't be shocked if we make it out of the second round, but I won't be, I mean, I will be shocked, but not blindsided if we don't make it out of the second round, because if we don't, that means we weren't hitting shots that game. It's just a coin toss. So when you walk in, are they going to hit the shots tonight or not? And that's unfortunately the way Tennessee's basketball team is operating right now.
Yeah.
Josh said it's almost like we're a JP Estrella away from being a Final Four team. That loss hurts bad.
It does.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. He brings a lot on both ends of the court. So I agree. That's a big one. Josh said still need to see the tournament play out. Pope doesn't have a single tournament win. Pope's teams are going to be incredibly high variance. Yeah, I mean it's a different beast when you get to March. That's for sure. Carl said Vols.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're going to make a ton of noise this year. I'm saying when he gets his guys and puts together 2 or 3 recruiting classes, he's going to do a lot of damage.
Carl has hit the nail on the head. This is exactly correct when referencing the men's basketball team. He said when the Vols are playing their A game, they could literally win the Natty. And he's 100% correct. They could.
Yeah.
But they only have a C game, if not. They don't have a B game. He's exactly right. It's all or nothing with him. And that's just the way it is. You're exactly right, Carl. And we know Carl's favorite Tennessee sport to talk about is baseball. And so that's what we're going to talk about now. Well, we got one more question about basketball, and then we're going to talk about baseball. Rhonda said, how Danny White thinks if Barnes does retire, you can guarantee you'll get a fast offensive coach. I 100% agree. Yeah, totally agree. Carl's excited about talking about baseball. Tomorrow, we love you tomorrow. My understanding is it's only a day away, and that is the start of the march to repeat national championship season. Um, the men host Hofstra tomorrow. 3-game series over the weekend. Tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. All 3 of the games will be on SEC Network Plus or the Watch ESPN app. So tomorrow, Valentine's Day, 4:30 p.m. Saturday, 4 p.m. and Sunday at noon. So 4:30, 4, and noon. Now, what's interesting about that on Saturday or Sunday, so the next women's game in basketball, the women play Ole Miss on Sunday at or in Knoxville, also at noon. And so this Sunday there will be 2 games happening in Knoxville simultaneously. The baseball team will be playing Hofstra, and the Lady Vols will be playing Ole Miss in Thompson Bowling Arena. Herb said he's going to be there. That's what I'm talking about. That's cool, man. That is fantastic. So obviously softball got off to a good start. They did lose 1 game, but they hadn't lost since. That would be, tremendous way to start the baseball season as well if they sweep Hofstra, which they should. I will say this: Hofstra is certainly not a pushover. They were, I believe, an NCAA regional team, either last year or the year before. I can't remember which one. So I mean, they're not just a lay down, gimme kind of games here. But Tennessee should win all 3 games. It certainly sounds like Liam Doyle is going to be the starting pitcher tomorrow night. There is some debate about the 2 games after that who will be starting. Probably sounds like it will be 2 of these 3 guys. Marcus, you don't think there's any debate?
They've already announced Saturday's Marcus Phillips.
Well, that's what I thought. But then today, Chris Burke was talking about Nate Snead possibly starting on Sunday instead of A.J. Russell.
Yeah. Liam Doyle's throwing. They've already announced Friday and Saturday. Tony Vitello announced it this morning. Liam Doyle's throwing Friday. Marcus Phillips is throwing Saturday, and Sunday is to be decided.
Okay. So Sunday will be either Nate Snead or A.J. Russell. One of the 2.
And the biggest reason that they said Sunday was to be decided is they're watching the weather, and Friday or Saturday could become a doubleheader. There may not be a Sunday game.
Oh, I thought the rain was moving through on Saturday. Was I wrong?
I don't know.
That?
They said that they're watching it and they're trying to decide.
Here I'm on weather.com here. Let's see when the rain's supposed to move through Knoxville. All right, so the 10-day forecast in Knoxville. Yikes! Both days. That's not good. So there's only a 4% chance of rain tomorrow, 66% chance of rain on Saturday, 83% chance of rain on Sunday. So that's not good. Yeah, that's not good. And it's supposed to rain all day Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That stinks. Over half an inch of rain on Saturday. Sunday, whoa. So Sunday, chance of rain 80% during the day, 50% chance of snow Sunday night. That's interesting. So, yeah, Carl said may end up being a doubleheader Friday. It very well might. Yeah, for sure. You're exactly right. Herb said same thing. Tomorrow potentially could be a doubleheader. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to have to be. Let's see here. Some of the comments coming through. Matt said that Vol baseball starter tryouts this weekend. I totally agree with that. There will be a lot of different lineups on the field this weekend for Tennessee baseball. You're going to see. I wouldn't be shocked if you see 3 different catchers in one each game. I'll be interested to see when when we see Ariel Antigua on the field. Um, there's a lot that's kind of up in the air with this team right now. It'll be interesting to see where Dalton Bargo plays. Um, if he's DHing, if he's on first base, if he's in left or right field. There's just a whole lot.
I don't think you're going to see him in the outfield. I think you're going to see him mix between catching first and DH. The outfield is loaded. They don't have room for him in the outfield.
That's another thing that I'm curious to see is Jay Abernathy in the outfield,
He's probably
because
going to be starting in left field. The starting outfields tomorrow is probably going to be Abernathy in left, Hensley in center, and Reese Chapman in right.
because back in the fall when they were doing fall ball, Abernathy was DHing some of the time. So
Yeah.
very interesting to see where people end up this weekend.
I think you'll see Colby Backus get a couple of pinch hit appearances, just to keep him fresh.
I think he
Like I say,
starts in the outfield one of the games.
possibly. But you're going to see Abernathy, Hensley, and Chapman for the most part in the outfield. Third base is going to be interesting. Andrew Fisher's arm's bothering him, so it'll be interesting to see what they do there. They've got Manny Marin. He's had a really good preseason. During the scrimmages, they put Ariel Antigua at third, which was interesting.
Really?
Yeah, so you may see him at third a little bit this weekend, especially if Fisher's arm is still bothering him. They may let Andrew Fisher DH. The hard thing they have is Cannon Peebles' arm is bothering him too. So Cannon Peebles DH'd almost the entire scrimmage series this past week. So that could have been to save his arm for this weekend. Or it could be that he is truly dealing with an issue and he can't throw. Levi Clark's another one. Where are they going to put him? That guy has absolutely torn the cover off the ball from day one when he got on campus. Some people are saying he's the best freshman Tony Vitello has ever signed. Okay, you think about the guys Tony Vitello has had as freshman, and they're saying Levi Clark's the best. That's a guy who can play behind the plate. That's a guy who can play first base. Stone Lawless has done a really good job behind the plate. I wouldn't be surprised if he catches 2 of the 3 games this weekend. They're really high on him. Redshirt freshman who a lot of people said was one of the best hitters in practice every day last year, but they had redshirted him because they just didn't need him. I posted a video today on our account that I would encourage people to go check out if they haven't seen it. It's Nate Snead being interviewed about the College World Series. And in the middle of the interview, he's talking about Cal Stark. And he gets choked up and starts crying, talking about Cal Stark and how much Cal meant to him and how respected Cal was and how important Cal was to that team last year. And I think that Tennessee is going to go as far as whoever the person is who steps up and replaces Cal Stark, whether that's Hunter Inslee, whether that's Nate Snead. It's hard we've talked about this before, it's hard for a pitcher to be a leader because they're not on the field every day. It really needs to be a position player. It'll be interesting to see who is this year's Cal Stark. And that person will probably dictate how far this team goes. The talent is there. There is no lack of talent. They could play any one of 18 different guys and have zero lack of talent. I'm curious to see Brandon Arvidsson, a big left-hander from San Jacinto Community College, throws low to mid-90s. He has struggled this preseason. He's gotten ripped. Everybody thought he might be the third starter. I don't think that's going to happen. He's gotten lit up. In a scrimmage the other day, he threw 2 innings and gave up 4 runs on 3 home runs. You know, he's
I
gotten
like him.
tagged pretty good. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do with Dylan Loy. Is Dylan Loy the new closer? I could see that. I could see Andrew Banky as the closer. Once they get AJ Russell back, how does he fit into everything? He's very close. He'll be throwing on the mound here or throwing in a game very soon. He's been throwing on the mound in practice, 2 hitters. So that's the first step towards live competition. So he's going to be ready soon. Osuna, the courts gave a deadline. They have to decide by February 26th if he's eligible. So you will not see him this weekend. But he's torn the cover off the ball all spring. Hit 14 bombs at 56 RBIs last year at North Carolina. He can hit, and he has destroyed the ball in practice. He's hit a home run, I think, every scrimmage. So he's someone to be dealt with, and I don't know how they can't name him eligible. Like every guy that's petitioned for that JUCO year has gotten it. They're just backlogged, and they said they have to make a decision by February 26th. He may hear sooner, but it won't be this weekend. So he won't be playing this weekend.
Would be huge to have him when they go down to Houston.
Yeah.
That'll be huge for that.
Yeah.
I think they play 4 games, I think, in Houston.
Yeah.
So
don't need him this weekend. They'll be fine without him, but definitely be nice to have him there.
All those guys you mentioned, Clark Lee, Stone Lawless, well, Dalton Bargo included
Levi
in that.
Clark.
Cannon. What did I say?
Clark Lee.
Oh.
He doesn't have any eligibility left.
No, he doesn't. Cannon Peebles, all these guys that need reps at the plate, they're going to get them this weekend. This is their opportunity, and they need to take advantage of it.
Watch out for Stone Lawless and Levi Clark. Those 2 guys, first of all, they're both just massive individuals. They're physical specimens. They're going to remind people of the old TCU bully ball teams. Like they just look like the bat's a twig in their hands, and at any minute, a ball's going to go 400 feet.
Alberto Osuna would also qualify for that too.
Yeah. Stone Lawless makes normal human beings look very small. That is a massive individual.
Josh said, while Hofstra's here this weekend, can we trade Dubar back for a better guard? That's pretty good. Jonathan said, I'm so glad baseball and softball are back. Totally agree. Rhonda, this is fantastic. She said, you got to get Tony Vitello on Cart Camp. I think it's a great idea. We would love to do that anytime. Rustin would be like, no, I'm doing this Cart Camp episode. Let's see. Oreo Puppy Dog said, hey, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, if our girls could hit their free throws, they're undefeated. If our guys could they would only have 1 to 2 losses. Herb said Dylan Loy or Nate Snead on Sunday. Chris Burke today on SEC Network. Peter Burns was interviewing Chris Burke, and Chris Burke said he thinks it's going to be Nate Snead on Sunday. That's what he thinks is going to happen.
Last year before he got injured, it was a combo deal on Friday where AJ Russell would start and Nate Snead would finish, and they could just kind of mix it however was needed. If one guy went 5, the other one would go 4. If AJ got in trouble after 3, Nate would go 6. So I have to think that whenever AJ Russell is back healthy, one of those games, and it's probably going to be Sunday, is going to become that again, where it's Nate and AJ handle that day. We don't need anybody else. It's just going to be the 2 of them.
Yeah, agreed. Papa J, you just asked the best question of the whole night, man. Welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, when are the latest updates supposed to be finished at Lindsey Nelson Stadium? So The most embarrassing video I think that the Tennessee Athletic Department has put out, well, they didn't put it out. All the news media that they allowed there are the ones who put it out, was last Friday. Last Friday, they invited all the local news outlets to come look at the progress on Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers, but last year, I want to say it was around July, maybe August. All these renovations were supposed to be done for this season. Like, it was supposed to be done. The press box and everything was supposed to be done for this season. But last July or August, I can't remember which one it was, all of a sudden there was a massive delay on, I think it was the steel beams they were trying to get. I can't remember. I think it was steel. And all of a sudden, everything just kind of came to a screeching halt. And they said, oh boy, this ain't good. We're going to have to postpone some stuff. Not everything's going to be ready for this next season because they couldn't get the necessary supplies that they needed. And I'm not kidding. Those videos that they released, I mean, it's 1 week before the first game. And the press box is temporary like set up tables they went and got from Walmart because there's no press box tables in there. The framing on the press box is not yet done, so there were still like exposed, 2x4s and stuff around the windows in the press box because it's not finished yet. No trim work at all anywhere on it because they've just barely gotten the sheetrock up and painted. The season starts tomorrow. And all this stuff was last Friday, 1 week before the start of the season. I mean, it looked like Vanderbilt's football stadium. It was that bad, that much under construction. It's just, it's not a good look, that's for sure. Now, I will say the parts that have been finished look fantastic. It looks amazing. Like down the left field line now looks absolutely incredible. Like such a great job. It's just really unfortunate that more of it wasn't completed, but that's where we are. I don't even know if there is an estimated completion date. I just know that inviting all the media there to look at a 3/4 done job was kind of embarrassing. And they're sitting here like still screwing in railings and stuff a week before the season starts. So that was not a good look. But hopefully the baseball team puts a good look on the field. How about that? Let's see here. Josh said, do you think this team will be like 23? Start slow, but pick it up later. Do you think we will just pick up where we left off? Okay, I have a guess. I'll go first, then you can go. I would say that I wouldn't be shocked. And this would be similar to 23. In 23, they went to Arizona to start the season. And they lost 2 of 4, I think, in Arizona to start the season that year. I mean, when they go to Houston, that wouldn't shock me because Tony, every year at the beginning of the year, he always mixes up the lineups to see what he likes the best. We saw him do that last year when they went to Houston. We saw him do it 2 years ago when they went to Arizona. And that, they lost 2 out of 4 games and people are like, oh no, they keep mixing up the lineup. What's going on? Do they not know what they got? That's just what Tony does. And I would agree with you that they might start slow like they did in 23 because there's a ton of new faces that are going to be on the field. They still got a guy that's trying to even get on the field if the NCAA lets him. So, I mean, that's a very late season, or late pickup in Osuna. So I think it'll take him a minute to gel. I really do. When AJ Russell steps on the mound again, that's another, new arm that essentially that I just think it'll take him a minute to gel. I really do. I also agree with what Jonathan said. What do you think before I go to the next one?
I think people are going to be shocked at how talented this team is. And even if they struggle chemistry wise, they're just physically better than everybody they're going to play. And I don't think there's any chance they start slow.
So Jonathan, he would agree with you, I think, and I agree with his position here. He said, I think every position is loaded, 100%. It is a plethora of riches, and I'll be honest with you, Reese Chapman's had a good off season, but Reese really kind of struggled in various slumps last year. If he goes through one of those slumps, there will be somebody that takes the spot. And I mean, like that's just the way it is. Like there's too many good bats to have just sitting on the bench.
Look at Gavin Killen. Gavin was all ACC last year. He's predicted to be a top three round pick in next year's MLB or this year's MLB draft. No one's talking about him. He's the most proven guy on the entire roster. No one's talking about him. And it's not that it's because he's playing poorly, it's because he's surrounded by so many freaking dudes who are just lights out. And he's just kind of blending in because everybody around him is as good as he is. And that guy was all ACC and predicted to be a top 100 draft pick.
Yep.
People are going to be stunned. I'll reserve judgment on this until March. But I'll say this, I would not be surprised if this is the best team Tony Vitello has ever had.
What time at 9:47 on February 13th, 2025. You heard it here first from Rustin. This may be Tony Vitello's best team. That's what I'm talking about. That's a big statement.
And when Osuna and AJ Russell are there, healthy, I mean, it's a wealth of wrenches.
You know how good I am with names. What was the name of the guy who was the JUCO transfer last year that they brought in specifically to be the DH, and then he really slumped bad about halfway through the season and really didn't get back on the field?
Robin Villeneuve.
That's it. That's the guy. Hopefully Osuna will not pan out that way. Hopefully he gets on the field.
Osuna hit more home runs in the first 3 scrimmages than Villeneuve did the entire season. So I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Matt, we appreciate that so much, Matt. Thank you so much. That's $2 super chat. You are the man. Thank you. Carl asked, was Antigua a shortstop? He was coming out of high school, and he was last year too.
He still is.
That's the thing. Last year, anytime Tennessee had a lead going into the 9th inning, especially when they were at home, Antigua was coming in to replace Dean Curley at short just for his defensive prowess. Dude can flat out play with the glove in his hand. He is fantastic.
And it speaks volumes to Dean Curley that he won the job. I fully expected Dean Curley to move to left field, move to right field, move to first base. Dean kept getting better, and he just won the shortstop job.
Preseason All-SEC pick Dean Curley now as of today. Vols had 6 guys on the preseason, whatever you call it, not ballot because it's not a ballot. Selections, we'll call it that. Vols had 6 guys, most of any team in the SEC, so that's pretty cool. Jonathan said, I hope we have a guy behind the plate that is defensively as good as Stark, but a better hitter. Yeah, amen. That'd be awesome.
We have 3 guys behind the plate that are better than Stark.
I think that was the case last year too. It's just Cal's leadership ability is why he was back there. He controlled everything. Josh said that interview with Nate Snead was awesome. Cal was the true leader of the team last year. Yeah, he sure was. Tony, welcome, Tony. Great to have you. He said, not sure about Phillips as a starter. Maybe it'll be okay.
So when you have a wealth of riches and any one of 7 guys could start a weekend series, and you've got a senior who has worked his tail off, these early season series are opportunities to give that guy some love. So, Frank Anderson is a master motivator. He understands what makes these guys tick, and he's got an easy opportunity to reward hard work. Is Hofstra going to beat Tennessee? No. So, he can roll Marcus Phillips as a starter out there on Saturday, and one of two things will happen. Either he'll continue to be the Saturday starter until someone else beats him out by performance, in which case he'll go back to the bullpen and go, hey, I had my shot. That dude's just throwing better. That's baseball. Or he'll rise to the occasion and throw mid to upper 90s all the time with a nasty curveball and become a dominant force off the mound. Now you just got one more option. So this is smart by Frank Anderson. He's kind of laying down the gauntlet and saying, "Hey, dude, you worked your tail off. We're going to reward that effort. Go win a job."
Well, and to Tony's point, I think a lot of people felt this way, Tony. A lot of people did, including media members in Knoxville. Media members were tweeting out just this past week that they were surprised to see Marcus Phillips starting, but that he performed really, really well. Like he, exceeded their expectations of him as a starter.
Tony Vitello said the other day, no one on their entire roster worked harder in the offseason than Marcus Phillips did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Big Orange, welcome. Good to have you. He said, what's up, bros? Do you think we'll be in Omaha again this season? 100%. Yes, I do. 100%.
Yep.
Here's the thing. I know that once you get to the super regional, anything can happen in a 2-game, best 2 out of 3 series. I get that. I'll be shocked if Tennessee's not in Omaha this year.
Well, and when all these renovations are done and Lindsey Nelson can hold 11,000 people, if you make it to the super regionals and you're in the top 16, you're probably going to host the super regionals every year. That's quite the home field advantage.
Yeah. Let's see here. Herb said, how is the Combs kid doing? I'm assuming he's talking about Aaron Combs. Aaron was drafted.
The new one.
Oh, then I don't know.
He's had a good preseason. They're expecting him. He's either going to be one of their primary middle relievers or he could end up winning the closer job. They've got 4 different guys right now. They're trying to decide who's going to be the closer. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, they have so many guys. I mean, Tanner Franklin's throwing 100 miles per hour. Brandon Arvidsson's throwing 94, 95 left-handed. You got Andrew Binky, who's proven and been through the wars. Dylan Loy, who can go out there and get out anybody. The Combs kid. You got Tegan, whatever his last name is.
Huntley.
You got Austin Huntley.
Yeah.
Who gives you a whole different dynamic. He's a crafty 3/4 arm slot, lots of movement, 4 different pitches.
Younger brother of a former Tennessee pitcher who also played under Tony Vitello.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. They can run out. There are 11 or 12 different guys in that bullpen that could run out there and just absolutely shut you down.
Big Orange is reminiscent about last year's Omaha run. Absolutely. It was awesome. Josh said, somebody said Dylan Loy is going to be this year's Kirby. Jack of all trades kind of guy, can come in mid-relief or close. Yeah. Sounds
He
about right to me.
also
Sounds good.
he, he also the other one's going to be interesting is who's the midweek starter going to be.
Yeah.
It's possible that when AJ Russell needs some reps, that he becomes the midweek starter until he's because that guy only goes 2 innings until he's fully healthy, and then they move him to the weekend.
Yeah. Good point. Tony said, I hope Reese Chapman comes on strong this year. Me too. I really do. Reese has a beautiful swing. It's just, it's like a textbook swing that you could use instructional drills for. I just hope he really plays really, really well this year. Jonathan, my bad. He said, I don't want Clark Lee on our baseball team. He needs to stay at Vandy. He may help their team out, though. Yeah, that was a slip of the tongue on my bad. Y'all know, if you've watched the show any length of time, y'all know I am so good with names and remembering people's names. Let's see. Greg said, when do we talk about Z Spearman's improving game? She's played very well as of late. Finishing at the basket much better in the last 2 or 3 games than she has prior to that. So I totally agree, man.
She's also taking smart shots. Early in the season, she was not taking the greatest shot selection. She's really understanding where her shots are, and she's getting to those spots. And kudos to her. When she's open from 3, it's in. I mean, she rarely misses an open 3.
Josh said, I think they want Tegan to be the Sunday guy and take the reins as a freshman like Bean did.
I'd be really surprised if that happens. If he does, then holy cow. They've just got, that screams future first rounder. If he walks in on this pitching staff and does that as a true freshman, it just makes this staff even more unbelievable.
Josh made a really good point here. He said, I don't think they'll want to go Phillips Saturday and then Snead on Sunday. They're too similar pitchers. Yeah, that's fair. So you could mix it up with Dylan Loy starting on Sunday and then have lefty righty with Snead coming after him.
They're both, so they're similar in that they're both hard throwing right-handers. They are not similar in that all of Nate Snead's off-speed stuff drops straight down, and all of Marcus Phillips' off-speed stuff sweeps to the left. So they're very different in that way. And the way baseball analytics have moved and changed, everything's about changing eye levels and sight lines. So to Frank Anderson, they're not the same. They're 2 totally different guys because one is a elevated fastball now off speed dropping at the knees, and the other one is elevated fastball now sweeping curveball. So to him, they're very different.
When we were talking about this current status of Lindsey Nelson Stadium, Josh said, I got to be honest, it looks terrible right now. And it does. Matt said Lindsey Nelson looks horrible right now. It does. Sam, he remembered. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. I knew. I was thinking it was something that they found or some utility thing or something. Mm-hmm. And there was like a delay in the steel because they couldn't put steel in the ground because of the utilities. So he said what happened was they found unmapped underground utilities that delayed the project. It would be extended 1 year. So hopefully it'll be done by next year. Hopefully. Josh said hopefully it's not an eyesore by SEC play. Sadly, I think it's going to be. They still got temporary fences up like along the walkways too, so that people don't step on the construction areas, and it just doesn't look great right now. Sam said, I thought they were very open about the project issue and the stadium's looking great. The parts that are done look fantastic. I agree. I'm not a huge fan of how there's like just exposed studs and framing in what is a makeshift press box right now. Doesn't look so good being the reigning national champs, and you've got, lawn chairs essentially, folding chairs and stuff in the press box with no trim work anywhere in there. That doesn't look so great. And Tony said maybe they can do a lot in the press box in a week. Maybe they've done it by now. Maybe so. Yeah, I hope so. Matt said Tennessee baseball's like Georgia football. We're stacked. Absolutely. Carl said disappointed in stadium reno, but honestly, they'd sit on 5-gallon buckets to watch the Fighting Vitellos. 100%, buddy. 100%. Josh, I can kind of see this too. He said, I can see Tony as the kind of guy that'll, work his tail off for 10 years, maybe win 2 or 3 more titles and then retire and just enjoy life. Yeah. I mean, seriously, like, yeah, well, that's what he does in the off season now, Sam said, Tony Vitello said that you have to be very fortunate to win it all. With that said, I'm very excited about this baseball team. It looks like the pitching's going to be great. It is. It absolutely is. Herb said Cannon Peebles has been tearing the cover off the ball in scrimmages. Herb, I'm just excited you're going to get to be there tomorrow, man. That's awesome. I hope you have a great time. Papa J said, are we going to try to hold the base runner at first this year? No.
No.
Sadly, no, we will not. He said, we haven't really done a great job of that. It's made our catchers throw to second look pretty bad. Yeah, for sure.
The left-handers will, but the left-handers will, but the right-handers, he couldn't care less if they hold anybody.
It's Frank Anderson. That's your answer to that question. He's like, we want to get the hitter, forget the runner. I mean, like that's his mentality. Drives a lot of people kind of crazy at times. I'm one of them, but that's just what they do.
But the analytics say he's right.
It's worked. Yeah, it's worked out.
I personally can't stand it. But the reality is the analytics say just go get the hitters. If you get the hitters, it won't matter.
Yeah. I forgot to mention I'm wearing my Hunter Inslee honorary shirt today in honor of baseball starting tomorrow. Carl said, best team ever. Ooh, fingers crossed for that. Absolutely. Tony said, I know he has to hit better, but Ariel Antigua saves runs when he plays defense. He does. Wish we had a spot for him. Yeah. I mean, he is a walking web gym on defense. Big Orange said Knoxville. I like that. That's what I'm talking about. Jonathan said, I fear this baseball team will be like the one a few years ago that's considered one of, if not the best regular season team of all time, and then didn't make it to Omaha. Yeah, I mean, anything can happen in super regionals, which stinks, but I would still to this day say that team was one of the best teams to ever step on a baseball field in college baseball. They're fantastic. Herb said Antigua's play at short in the World Series, making a diving play to his right and almost threw the guy out at first was amazing. Oh, amen, brother. Amen. Amen. Carl said Marcus Phillips was really good the last quarter of the season. Big Orange said Tony Vitello is going to make other fan bases just give up watching college baseball. We had a 60-team win and look back at that 22 team. Yeah. Tony said with LSU, Texas A&M, Florida, Arkansas all loaded, where do y'all think we finish in conference play this year? So it was interesting. There were 4 teams, I believe, maybe 5. I think just 4 that received first place votes in the preseason poll for the SEC. Tennessee only got one of them. Texas A&M had the most.
I would also remind everyone that all those votes were placed before it was announced that Osuna was coming to Tennessee.
Yeah, and I mean, I know obviously A&M is loaded with talent, but they do have a brand new coach. I mean, like that's got to mean something. The way all that went down last year was just bizarre, man. With Schlossnagle going to Texas, that was bizarre. Um, Big Orange said Dylan only played a huge part in winning the SEC tournament championship last year. He 100% did. He also played a huge part in the Super Regional, getting us to Omaha. Absolutely. Josh said Kentucky women finally played a team with some talent, got blown off the court. I think if Lady Vols get past Ole Miss, they win out. So the
They could.
Lady Vols schedule, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left. They have Ole Miss and then Alabama. Both of those are home games. Then they go to Florida. Then they
Who's
host
not good?
Kentucky. Then they host Kentucky, and then they
No,
no, I'm sorry, they go
aren't
to
they at
Kentucky.
Kentucky?
Yeah, they go to Kentucky, and then they host Georgia to end the season.
Kentucky does play small, but honestly, that concerns me more. I wish they would play some of their big girls and slow down a little bit. I don't know. I don't know that we can stop Georgia A more in a full court pressing game. Kenny Brooks is an excellent coach. He brought Georgia A more with him to Kentucky. I just don't. I don't see us stopping her. And when teams beat our press, they typically get layups. That one's going to be tough.
Jonathan said, "I wish other sports had done like football did and play. You can still play a certain amount of games and still redshirt. Yeah, that'd be cool." Sam said, when I mentioned the lawn chairs essentially in the press box, he said, "I'm not part of the press. Those guys they can sit on lawn chairs." He's like, "They're inside the stadium." I like it. And Rhonda said she'd sit on a bucket to watch Tony Vitello. That's great. Let's see. John said, "I say just don't allow a base runner all year, and you don't have to worry about holding the base runner." There you go. That's a great. I mean, I love that. That's a great philosophy. Let's do that. I'm all for that. Will, hey, good to see you, buddy. Great to have you. He said, "Good evening, everyone. Stopping in to say hi and hit the like button." Amen, brother. That's what I'm talking about. I love that. Thank you, Will. Good to see you, man. Big Orange said, "How do y'all think?" Okay, I have a clarifying question. Big Orange, are you talking about the basketball game next week, or are you talking about the baseball team? That'd be my question, because I think their first SEC series is against A&M.
He's talking about baseball. He posted that right after all those baseball questions.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Like time will tell, I guess. I mean, nobody. That's the thing. Like everybody thinks we have a general idea what we'll see this year. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what we're going to end up seeing. That's like Rustin was talking about. He thinks they'll finish winning the SEC. It's hard to say they won't. Like it's hard to say that. They should, honestly. They are picked number 2, right behind Texas A&M in the preseason poll. It's hard to root against, or it's hard to bet against Tony Vitello and Frank Anderson. That's all I can say about that. Josh said, "I think they vastly overrating LSU's team this year. Their lineup isn't blowing me away." What's more interesting, I think, than even that is Paul Maneri now at South Carolina. I wonder how they're going to do this year. They were picked 14th in the conference preseason. It'll be interesting to see what he's able to do with that program. A very proud baseball program in South Carolina. Josh agreed, number 1. Matt agrees, number 1. Josh said he predicts Tennessee, A&M, Florida, Arkansas in that order.
Not Paul Maneri, Jay Johnson.
No, South Carolina. Jay Johnson's coaching LSU.
Did you say South Carolina?
Yeah, Maneri's now at South Carolina. This is his first year there. And so it'll be interesting.
That one doesn't concern me. I don't see that working out. I think, in my opinion, I thought that was a really bad hire. he didn't work out at LSU with the biggest budget in America. I don't see that working out.
That's a good point. Sam made a great point. He said it's going to be interesting to watch A&M play Texas this year in baseball. Absolutely. Can you imagine? Dude, they're going to have like security
There will
details.
be fights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like yeah, for sure. Eric said the NCAA gives a player the eligibility this season that has put a restraining order out. He needs approved. Diego Pavia got eligibility. So that was mentioned earlier tonight on the Twitters. So far, everything that's happened with Alberto Osuna has followed the exact same path of what happened with Diego Pavia. And it was at this injunction, this point we're at now, where Pavia was granted an extra year. And that's the precedent that they're using to try to get Osuna another year. Greg,
And they will. That's why the NCAA announced that there's a timeline on it now. They have to make a decision by February 26th. He's going to get eligible. I highly doubt he'll play this weekend, but by the 26th, they'll name him eligible.
Greg made a great point. He said Kanaya Boyd looked really good tonight as well. She sure did.
She's been getting better every game.
Defensively, she is just dominating right now.
Yeah, she does a nice job.
Herb said, how you feel about the SEC tournament being single elimination now? Well, hang on. If this is are you talking about baseball? Herb?
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness, because up until this season, it's been the most stupid format of any tournament ever in the history of tournaments. And so if they've at least moved to this, that's a huge step in the right direction, in my opinion, because what they were doing was ridiculous. It was the dumbest format ever. And so I love this idea. I mean, at least make a little bit of sense. So that's good.
Well, and it also allows all 16 to come. And that was a problem previously.
Yep. Carl said, who leads in homers this year? I mean, does Alberto Osuna get to play?
Even if he does, it almost has to be Dean Curley because all the rest of those guys are going to be splitting reps. Dean Curley's probably the only one. He's probably going to hit leadoff. So just by that, he's going to get more at-bats than everybody else. And he's probably not going to split any time.
I don't know. We'll see. I hope he does. That'd be awesome. That's a Christian Moore type season from the leadoff spot. That'd be great.
It'll probably be him, or if Andrew Fisher gets healthy and plays almost every game at third, it could be Andrew Fisher.
Matt said, missing Minolaki tonight. Yeah, we hope you're doing well, Minolaki. Whenever you see this on replay, she saw the replay last time too. So good to see you on the replay, Minolaki. Carl said, Vols sweep A&M, 2 games will be run rule. That's what I'm talking about, Carl. Love it, dude. Love it. Herb said, Vols projected top 8 national seed to host by D1 baseball. Yeah, I mean, I agree. They're going to host a regional and a super regional for sure. Will asked a really good question here. He said, bros, in your opinion, would a player like an A-Rod or a similar elite level prospect just absolutely dominate college baseball if for some reason they chose that instead of being a first-round MLB pick? I have an answer. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
You can.
So I think we were just talking about Dean Curley. I think he's a good case study in this situation. So Dean Curley, highly sought after prospect, not an elite level like an A-Rod or somebody like that, but certainly a very high level prospect. Came in as a freshman and was the starting shortstop on the national champion baseball team. So that's somebody, and he had a phenomenal year. At one point, he was hitting 5th in the batting order, primarily stayed around 7th majority of the year. had just a fantastic year. Had one, he had three, almost hit for the cycle. And almost hit the home run cycle in a game. He had a solo home run, a 2-run home run, and a grand slam in a game. He didn't have a 3-run. He almost hit the grand slam cycle in a game, or the home run cycle. I mean, just had an incredible season as a true freshman. So I would say yes. If there was somebody like an Alex Rodriguez, elite level talent who came to college baseball, yeah, they would absolutely dominate. You think about what's his face from LSU last year and 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. Center fielder. What was his name? I can't. I'm really good with names. The center fielder. He was a first round. I think he was actually. So Paul Skeens was number 1 pick. Yeah, Cruz, Dylan Cruz. Isn't that what his first name was? I almost said Duke Cruz, but that was Tennessee basketball.
Definitely not him.
So, I mean, what, he hit over 500 for the season? That's crazy. At a SEC, national championship competing team, they ended up winning it, actually. He hit over 500 for the year, I think. He was hitting like almost 600 in SEC play for a while. That's crazy. He was a number 2, number 3 overall pick. So yes, I would say if an elite talent like that came to, now I understand that was also his 3rd year, but I'm just saying, like, if somebody is good enough to be picked that high, yeah, they're going to dominate. What would you say?
I'm not avoiding the question, but this would never happen. Because first rounders in the major league draft are getting 3 to 5, sometimes as high as $7 million signing bonuses. And nobody's NIL is going to give a true freshman $3 million in college baseball. So
that's true.
It's never going to happen.
Josh said having A&M and Florida at home this year is huge. Totally agree. Can you imagine how rocking that place is going to be for those? It's going to be awesome. Big R said, do y'all think this is Rick Barnes' last go around? No, I don't. No, I think he's got 3 to 5 years left in him. Let's see. Do you want to answer that?
I think it depends on Zakai. I think if Zakai gets an extra year of eligibility, he comes back. If we make a deep postseason run and Zakai's done, I could see Rick walking and being done.
I say the only way he doesn't come back is if we win the national championship. It's the only way. And he can go out having won that.
Yeah. And to answer that next question, who should we try to hire? I said this a few weeks ago on here. First phone call should be Jay Wright.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Josh said Andrew Fisher is going to hit 30 home runs. Jonathan said, I think the Atlantic Sun tournament or one of the conferences has the dumbest format. It was a pool play or round robin style until the semifinal or Final Four. Yeah. The SEC tournament the last several years has just been just dumb. I mean, just dumb how they've organized it. Josh said baseball's too much of a team sport for one player to just change every game. More likely a dominant pitcher would be more valuable, i.e. Paul Skeens. That would be, he just said in the next comment, actually. But I would use Christian Moore as an example of last year. Dude changed some games at the plate. That's it, Oh yeah, Carl made a good point. He said the game where Curley almost hit for the home run grand slam or home run cycle, his last one, I believe it was to right center field, if I remember correctly. He said it was only about 3 feet short of Homer. Yeah, that's right. If I remember, well, Carl, help me out, man. I think it was right center. Let me know. Um, Herb said he thinks that's why the Vols are top 2 or 3 in recruiting baseball every year. Word is out by telling the Vols baseball for sure. Will said he hit 586 his junior year of high school in the 3-hole. That's what I'm talking about, Will. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's a good season right there. Carl said Skeens is a twice in a lifetime pitcher if he stays healthy enough, for sure. Herb said he agrees Jay Wright would be an awesome hire. Mr. Osborne said one of the great baseball memories he has is when Bob Horner, third baseman for the Braves, hit 4 straight home runs in 4 at bats on the first pitch each time. Whoa. That is
Which
awesome
begs
at Fulton County
which
Stadium.
after the first two, that begs the question, why do you keep throwing to him?
Yeah, exactly. 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 He might say, is no one keeping the chart on this guy? Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Well, so I mentioned last time we were live that Rustin and I had an exciting meeting the next day, which was last Friday, and that meeting went splendidly. It went really, really good. So we're looking forward to hopefully in the next couple of weeks being able to bring some exciting news to everybody, especially with baseball season coming up. I think people will like what we got planned. It's going to be really cool. I will give everybody a little teaser for Sunday night. We will have Reed Carringer with us this Sunday. And so I hope everybody joins us this Sunday when we got Reed. Obviously, we'll have a ton of stuff to talk about because we'll have a women's basketball game happening that day against Ole Miss. We will have the men's game against Vanderbilt from Saturday. Oh, and this little thing called opening weekend for baseball that will have just happened. So there will be a ton of stuff. And we'll softball. We'll have softball to talk about too. So there will be an absolutely cram-packed show on Sunday night. So we hope everybody joins us for that.
They're on a starting tomorrow. They're on a bizarre road trip. They're like they've got a doubleheader tomorrow in Louisiana, and then they immediately leave and go to Texas because they have 4 games in 2 days in Texas the rest of the weekend. They've got a bunch of road games coming up.
Josh said, I think the basketball coach will be an up and coming offensive minded coach that the fan base doesn't understand. Turns out to be a great hire, just like Kim Caldwell was.
It's possible, but my only thing about that, Danny White's who discovered Nate Oates.
Yeah,
So
Josh.
that's always possible. My only thing is if you look around the country right now, I don't really see anybody that fits that mold. And so if you could go get somebody like Jay Wright, who I know wants that job. He and Rick Barnes are close. He teaches a lot of the same defensive concepts that Barnes teaches, but he's also, he doesn't sacrifice offense for defense. He's going to call good stuff, and he's going to recruit. I mean, the man was recruiting at a top 10 level at Villanova.
Yeah.
What could he do with Tennessee's resources?
Yeah.
So I think if Danny White picked up that phone, I think there'd be a yes on the other end.
And what a nice luxury to hire a national championship winning coach. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Who has a lot of years left. I mean, he doesn't have to coach right now. He could if he wanted to. I think you got to call that guy. Now, if out of the blue some huge up and comer shows up that makes sense, by all means. But right now, I just don't see that person. When I watch other games around the country, I don't see anybody that fits that mold.
And you're exactly right. If there is somebody like that, we can be confident that Danny White knows about him and we'll find him because just like Josh said, Danny has a knack for hiring awesome up and coming coaches. Just like you mentioned, Nate Oates, Danny was the one who discovered him. Danny is the one who discovered Kim Caldwell. Um, there's certainly precedent for that. Um, it will be interesting to see. Sam said Danny's already making his list, checking it twice for sure. For sure. Carl's excited about Reed joining us on Sunday. Um, let's see. Matt said go Lady Vols, absolutely. Um, hey, he likes your Jay Wright thing. Um, he said he thinks
That's
that Jay left in Villanova because they couldn't compete with NIL. Tennessee
not
can.
only could they not compete at that time, they were saying they weren't going to. They were one of those ridiculous school administrations who was saying we're not going to fold and do this, while everybody else around him was, and he was like, "We're going to get killed." And if you look at it, since he left Villanova, they have slowly tapered off. They're not what they were when he was there for sure.
Herb said make Jay say no for sure. For sure. For sure. Well, we certainly do appreciate everybody joining us tonight. It was good to be back on here with everybody after a week off. Like I said, we will be live again Sunday night with Reed Carringer joining us. So we're excited about that. It's going to be just a packed show. My goodness, there's so much that's going to be going on. So we do. Josh said, plus Jay Wright is on the tournament broadcast with Candace Parker every year. That's true. For sure. He said they've been talking for sure. So we hope everybody joins this Sunday night. It'll be a lot of fun, a lot of stuff to talk about, and hopefully we'll be celebrating 2 basketball wins with the men and the women, and hopefully we'll be celebrating a series sweep from the baseball team. That's the hope. Carl said, "Great show, bros." Hey, we're glad to see you, Carl. We hope you're with us Sunday night. We're going to celebrate some wins this weekend. How about it? Some baseball wins. Jonathan said, "Good night, Vol Bros in chat. Can't wait for Sunday." Me too, man. Hope you have a great evening. Mr. Osborne, thank you as always, buddy. He said, "Excellent show, Vol Bros." Thank you. Josh, thank you, buddy. We appreciate you joining us so much. Rhonda said, "Great stuff, guys. Hope everybody has a great weekend. See you soon." Thank you, Rhonda, so much. We appreciate you. We hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend ahead of you. Capped off, Matt, good to see you, buddy. A wonderful weekend capped off with the Vol Bros on Sunday night. That's what we hope. So we hope to see everybody then. And go Vols, baby. Go Vols. Hey, you know what? Let's do the baseball outro. How about it? Just because it's the night before. It's baseball eve.
Yep. Yep.
Have a great evening, everybody.